Hey, how's it going, guys? In this video, I'm going to show you how to connect to Microsoft SQL Server in dbt. Alright, so here on my terminal, I'm going to create a dbt project. So I'm going to type dbt init, and I'll name the project demo. Now in this step, I'm going to actually excel this step. So I'm going to use the shortcut Ctrl+C, then enter. So to connect to Microsoft SQL Server in dbt, we first need to install the database adapter first. And we can do that using the command pip install dbt-SQL Server. And once you install the SQL Server's adapter, you want to make sure that your dbt core version is compatible with the SQL Server adapter. And you can do that using the command dbt version. So my dbt core version is on 1.4.3, which is the latest version. However, the latest SQL Server adapter is on 1.3.1, which is not compatible with the latest dbt core version. And to fix the issue, we need to downgrade the dbt core version. You can do that by run the command pip install dbt-core. They want to specify the version ID, so I'm going to type 2 = signs, followed by the version ID 1.3.1, enter. Alright, so here we shouldn't insert any space in between. Right, let me try again. And this time I'm able to install the HTML install. I'm able to downgrade my dbt core version. Now if I run dbt version, now both the SQL Server adapter and the dbt core version are on the same version number. Alright, so me sitting into my demo project folder. And let me go into the demo directory. So for demonstration purpose, I'm actually going to use this CSV file. If I open the CSV file, you can just take a look at the table itself. So from this table, I have 100 records, I think. Yeah, 100 records. And I'm going to use dbt command to upload this CSV file to my SQL Server database. So let me move the file to my dbt CSV folder. So we know in dbt, when we're trying to connect to a database system, we need to create a file called profiles.yaml file. But I'm not going to do that just yet. I want to go over the documentation real quick. Alright, so here I'm on the Microsoft SQL Server setup page from dbt's documentation. And I'll link the link in the description below, just in case if you need to reference the properties. Alright, so I want to scroll down all the way to here, SQL Server Authentication section. And since I'm using Windows credentials to log into my SQL Server database, so this is going to be the profile template that I'm going to use based on. If you try to follow this profiles property, you are most likely is going to get a certificate error. And if you're using Azure Microsoft SQL Server database, in that case, you want to look at the Azure Active Directory Authentication section. And based on how you connect to your database, you need to choose one of this connection type. And since I'm using a local database, so I'm going to go to the top. So for the profiles.yaml file, I'm actually going to create a local profiles.yaml file. And to do that, I'm going to type dbt debug. Then I want to use the config directory option. And I'll set the project folder as the root folder to locate the profiles.yaml file. Enter. Now this is going to give me an error. Actually, let me take a look. Oh, I know why. So here I have a typo. This should be profiles. And period basically represent the project directory. And I'm going to press enter. So here you can see that this profile test failed. And that's because I never created a profiles file. Alright, so I'm going to create the profiles.yaml file right now. So I'm going to copy the file name. In bash, I'm going to type touch, giving the file name. And I open the profiles.yaml file. All right, so I have a typo. All right, so let me try again. Profiles. Oh, forgot the L. All right, so I'm going to just open the profiles.yaml file. All right, so on the top, we're going to type the project name, and it's going to be demo. And let me increase the font size. Then we need to specify the target profile. All right, so here I haven't created a profile yet. I'm going to go back to the documentation. Actually, I can just copy these. And this will be demo. All right, so I'm going to create different profiles. One is going to be, let's do demo 1 and demo 2. For the database type, it's going to be SQL Server without the space. So I'm on a PC, so I'm going to search for ODBC. And I'm using ODBC 64-bit. I'm going to click on this item right here. On the ODBC data source elements window, you want to click on drivers. And based on the ODBC driver that you're using, you basically type the driver name. I'm using ODBC driver 18 for SQL Server. So I'm going to simply type this driver name to the driver property. And for the server name, right, so in SQL Server, you want to type select followed by @ symbol, then server name, and run it. And that's going to return the SQL Server address or the on-premises SQL Server database address. I want to copy this address to the server property. So I'm going to copy and paste. And port is going to be optional. I'm going to actually delete the port number. And database is going to be the database that you want to connect to. And I'm going to connect to my JJ database. And for the schema name, you can assign to any schema. So let's say I want to create a new schema called finance. And because I'm using Windows authentication, so I'm going to set the Windows login to true. But if I log in with a username and the password, in that case, I want to provide the user and the password property. I'm going to copy this code block and I'll replace demo2 properties with demo1. And here I'll change the schema to DBO, which is the default. And make sure that you save the file. Now going back to my terminal. Now this time if I run dbt debug, and since I already configured the profiles location to my project directory. Okay, so here I've got to change the target profile. All right, so let's go with demo 1 first. Now here we're getting an error, which is the certificate error that I was talking about. Now what happened is I need to manually specify the certificate. So here we can type trust certificate property, and we'll set the value to 2. And let me copy paste the property to demo2 profile and save the file. Now if I go back to my terminal, and if I run the dbt debug command, now this time all the tests are passed. All right, so to make sure that the connection works, so in my dbt.sys folder, I have this transaction.sys file. In SQL Server, I'm going to type select from transactions, and it's going to be finance schema. So this will be finance.transactions. And if I run the SQL query, and it's going to give me this invalid object name error, and that's because the table hasn't created yet. Now if I go back to my terminal, and if I run the dbt-c command, and once the file is uploaded to my SQL Server database, if I go back to my SQL Server database and run the query again, and here's the transactions table that uploaded to my JJ database. All right, so here let me refresh the table. Actually, not this one. It should be this one here. And because in the profiles, I specified the schema as finance. So when this transaction table gets created, it's going to use finance as the schema name. Now if I change the target to demo2, and because the schema is going to be different, it's going to get treated as a different table. I can go back and run the dbtc command and to upload the CSV file. And I'll go back to my SQL Server Management Studio, and I'll change the schema to DBO, runs, and here's the transactions table. So this is going to be everything I'm going to cover in this video, and hope you guys find this video useful. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give this video a like and click on the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.